Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gerwin and welcome to Janderra. This is my aquaponics system. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about my aquaponics. What is aquaponics? How does it work? And all that sort of stuff. Aquaponics is a combination of aquaculture and hydroponics. So you're basically using fish waste that gets processed by bacteria and worms to help grow your plants. But that is a very basic of it. So basically what you'll need is a sump or a fish tank. So some people use their sump and the fish tank to have that as one. We've actually got our sump so it's dug into the ground for multiple different reasons. It helps to maintain the temperature so it doesn't fluctuate as much. And we've also got a 1,000-litre fish tank. So those containers are the same size, so that's it fully out of the ground, and that one is mostly dug into the ground. So they hold around just under 1,000 litres because that's got holes in it for the plumbing to go into. So my system goes all the way along there. So this is my sump, and now I do have 2 pumps in my system because I've got 6 growing beds and I wanted to make sure I had enough water flow into my fish tank to keep the water turning over rapidly enough. And you can go into a huge amount of detail in this, and there are a lot of other channels that do. Rob Bob has some great videos on aquaponics. Nate Storey has some great videos, and Murray Hallam has some fantastic resources. So yeah, but the basics of it is you've got the sump where you've got the pump. Now if you had a smaller system, you'd only need 1 pump. I've got 1 pump that does the garden beds and 1 pump that does the fish tanks. But it's only 1 pump. The rest of it, only that. The rest of it is done by gravity. So I've got water that's flowing into the fish tank, and it's a bit hard to see in there because the tank's so dark. We've got a slow in there, which is a solids lifting outlet. I've also got a couple of venturis on the other side, as well as a backup aeration pump. Backup for aeration is a really big thing, especially if you get blackouts. So onto the plants. You can see the plants. Anything that grows well in a wet environment loves aquaponics. So celery, I believe, was originally a swamp type plant, and it grows fantastically. All green leafy vegetables grow fantastically, but you also get some root crops that'll also do well in the aquaponics. Now it's not a constant, they're not constantly sitting in water. It's a flood and drain system, and I've got a video in my Aquaponics Basics playlist that goes through the flood and drain and shows how that all works. But at the moment, so one of the beds is dumping its water over there. It automatically does that. So you have a bell siphon and a big fly. So you have your standpipe in here, and then you have the bell that goes on top of that, and that helps to create the flood and drain situation. So water is constantly going into the beds, so it constantly goes in, and the water comes up the sides and gets to the height of the bell siphon, and then it automatically drains. And as you can see at the moment, none of these siphons on these 3 beds are actually active at the moment. So they're in the filling process. So we've actually got a reasonably large system here for a backyard unit. You don't need to have something this big. You could just use 1 IBC and have 1/2 as your grow bed and 1/2 as your sump. It'd be harder to maintain the pH in your system. And I've got another video where I actually go through the pH in the system. Look at that, little lady beetle. Little lady beetle. How good is that? Anyway, so it's a natural system where it encourages nature. You can't use any poisons or pesticides on it. There are some organic ones that you can use. I generally tend not to. I've got a video in my Aquaponics Basics playlist that goes through what some of the additives are that I use in my system. You have to be very careful not to use anything that is going to hurt the fish. So the growing media, I've got a video all on that. My grow media is, I've got 3/4 inch drainage gravel at the bottom, so it comes up to about here, and then I've got the hydrogen clay balls on the top. So I like the hydrogen clay balls because they're nicer on my hands. The rocks are a bit scratchy. The important thing with the rocks is you've got to make sure it doesn't react with the pH of the water. So you can't use concrete or anything like that. It would make the water the wrong pH for the fish. Oh, and we've got the automatic siphon is about to start on this one. So it doesn't take a huge amount of time to start. And that is actually this bed here. So you should be able to see there that the water level's quite high up on the... And there we go. The siphon has started. So now that'll just drain that bed. And it does that multiple times an hour. So the plants that are in this system constantly have access to water, air, which is incredibly important, as well as nutrients. Now, a lot of people think that it's actually the fish waste that is creating the nutrients for the plants, and it's actually not. The fish waste actually creates food for the worms, which are and also an element of the system, but you don't necessarily have to put them in there. They just seem to get in there. I think they come in on birds' feet. But the thing that comes from and I've got a whole video on the bacteria in the system, and I'll leave a link up there to that video. It goes into how the fish produce the ammonia, and then there's a group of bacteria in the system that turn that ammonia into nitrite, and then there's another form of bacteria that turn that nitrite into nitrate, and then the plants take up the nitrate. And the worms do a whole heap of things in there as well, and do lovely things in creating nutrients for your plants. And that's basically aquaponics. Now, the rules of aquaponics you can learn really, really quickly. But there are also a lot of little nuances that take a while to learn. Like at the moment, I can tell I've got a little bit of a nutrient deficiency in my system because of the slight yellowing on these leaves. And I will add in some rock minerals or something like that into the system to help with that. It might be a bit of an iron deficiency, but that's basically it. That's aquaponics, and that's how it all works. So you can see there's a nutrient deficiency here too. So you just look at the plants, and there are tests that you can do to see what nutrients are actually lacking, but the basics of it are you feed the fish. The fish create the ammonia that feeds the the bacteria, and then the fish also produce the fish waste that helps to feed the worms. The worms will also eat the plant material from the roots of the plants and anything else that gets in there. But yeah, that's aquaponics. It's really good fun, and it's incredibly good for growing in difficult conditions. This system was actually set up while we were in severe drought conditions, and this new property that we've moved to has very little organic matter in the soil, so I've been really struggling to get anything to grow in the ground. But my aquaponics has gone absolutely nuts. Which is what it does. Aquaponics is fantastic, and feel free to look back over my videos to see just how aquaponics works. And I hope you found this interesting, and if you've got any questions or comments or suggestions, leave them in the links in the comments below, and remember to like the video and share it around with all your friends, and leave any comments and hit that subscribe button and that bell. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can keep up with what's happening on the property. But you have a great one. Bless you.